Good morning, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, my name is Jody and I'm a landscape photographer based in West Sussex. Well, I'm absolutely thrilled to get out this morning. It's the first time in 2 weeks I'm going to have had any chance to come and do any landscape photography. I've had COVID and then the weather ever since has been pretty dreadful. Today I'm going to be at one of the locations that I list in my location guide that's on my website for 5 easy and accessible locations in East Sussex. Currently I'm in the car park for Firle Beacon and the weather forecast is looking pretty good, but as you can probably see, it's pitch black at the moment, so I've got no idea how this is going to work out. Still got an hour and a bit till sunrise, so what I'm going to do, because the location that I'm shooting from is literally only a 4-minute walk from here, going to have a coffee and sit down. And today what I'm going to try and do is just explain a bit about kind of why I thought this morning the weather forecast is looking promising and some of the apps that I use for that. And I guess the theme of the video is going to be either that you can't trust apps if it doesn't work out being pretty nice, and if it does, then it's how important those apps are to help you get in the right place at the right time. So going to have a coffee, chill out. I'm going to take you to future me in my office, and I'm going to take you through some of the things to look for in those apps, some of the things that I find useful, and you'll come back to me and hopefully it'll be a little bit nearer to sunrise. So see you in a bit. So hello from future me, although not that future me because I'm recording this the same afternoon as the video that I've been shooting this morning. What I'm going to do now is talk you through some of the apps that I use in order to try and predict what the conditions will be like the next morning. So I'm just going to do a screen share now and show you some of those apps and talk you through how I use them, some of the things that I look for. So if we look on the screen, you'll see now this is my app bundle for weather, and for the most part trying to predict what the weather will be like. So this first app is called TPE, or the Photographer's Ephemeris, and I also have bought an overlay to this which is called Skyfire. It's a paid app that sits above TPE and will show you or give you a visual representation about how likely it is that there's going to be what they call underlighting, meaning how likely it is that the clouds will be underlit by the rising sun or the setting sun if it's the evening. So you can zoom in and out on this app, you can kind of visualize where you're going to be, and you can see the different lines that is for where the sun is going to come up and where it's going to set. So once we come out of TPE, I now go over to Clear Outside. This is a pretty popular app. It will give you information about the different levels of cloud. So when you're trying to predict a sunset, you're looking really, or a sunrise, you're trying to look for there being quite a lot of high cloud and some medium cloud, but as minimal low cloud as possible. The low cloud is the type of cloud that usually carries rain and just is grey and miserable, which we get quite a lot in the UK. So moving on now, I've checked that, it kind of lines up with what I saw there. We're moving in now to an app called Windy. I really love this app. I think it's probably the most favourite app I have. And this is where we're going to zoom right into the region of Firle, and we're going to look at, again, clouds. We're trying to figure out whether there's a consistency across the apps, trying to predict where those clouds will be and whether there's going to be any kind of gap. We're currently shooting a sunrise, so we're looking for really that high cloud and medium cloud, as minimal low cloud as possible, which we've got here. There's a 0% for low cloud that we can see here, and let's just toggle on to medium cloud. We can see there's going to be a lot of medium cloud and a lot of high cloud. And then what I'll always do is zoom out a little bit on the app and just look about, you know, how much of that high and medium cloud is going to be out to the east, because if there's too much, then the sun won't be able to get through and there won't be a sunrise. So they're the 3 kind of apps that I would use, and there's one more which is called Sun Surveyor. This is pretty similar to TPE, but this is where you can go in and zoom in and really look at your location and visualize where it is you're going to be, and just get a feeling for where the sun's going to rise in relation to where you're going to be shooting, and you know where it's going to be, where it's going to appear on the horizon, and what you've got to kind of look out for and prepare for in terms of where that sun's going to be. So what we're doing now is we're zooming into the location that I'm currently stood at as past me, and we're looking out across Firle towards Firle Beacon and towards the Firle yachts, as you can see. And I'll just spin the map around in a moment, and as you can see here, it's saying that the sun is going to rise almost directly in front of us. So I go prepared with all that information, knowing that the apps are predicting a fairly good chance of a decent sunrise. We know that there's going to be quite a lot of high cloud, we know there's going to be quite a lot of medium cloud. There's quite a lot of medium cloud out to the east, so although that the TPE and the Skyfire app are predicting a very strong chance of decent underlighting, I was still pretty wary that there was a big bank of cloud there that could end up ruining everything. So I'm going to take you back now to past me, and I hope that was helpful. So it's starting to look a little bit promising now. The light that's on my face is actually a light I'm shining on myself so you guys can see me. It's not light coming from the sun just yet. The horizon is looking reasonable. It's still 50-50 though, I think. There's still a lot of cloud out to the east, so hopefully there's going to be enough of a gap that the sun can get through it and shine on these clouds that are sitting, as I said, about 7,500 meters up. Light is starting to come on the scene now, so I'm actually, apart from for filming this video, I don't actually need a torch anymore. And what I'm doing now is, on my main camera, I'm going to be shooting a few shots now in low light. So in terms of shutter duration, it's going to be a long shutter duration, which will give me a nice clear picture of what the scene looks like. And the reason I'm doing this is I always like this kind of pre-sunrise light. I just love seeing that kind of first light that comes and falls on the landscape when it goes from being pitch black to a little bit light, very, very twilighty. But what I'm really doing most of all is starting to work composition. So it's quite dark, you can't really see everything from a composition perspective, but what the camera will do, and with these long exposures, it will give you an image at the end of the exposure that allows you to figure out whether your composition is correct. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'll talk you through a few more bits and pieces when the light starts to increase and we can see some stuff. Okay, so here is my shooting camera, and you can see the sky is looking amazing. I'm so happy. What we're going to be shooting at is f8, and I'm going to be bracketing. I'm going to be doing 3 shots every time I shoot, one being at the exposure that looks correct, and then I'm going to shoot one that's underexposed by 1 stop, and then another one that's overexposed by a stop. And then what I'm doing is really giving myself a little bit of insurance about making sure that we've got all of the highlights and the shadows and the detail in here. I almost always do this over using filters. I know that a lot of photographers don't think that that's the right way to do it, but I much prefer that, because I believe that with the camera I've got, which is the Canon R5, the dynamic range is so good that between those 3 exposures, if I ever need them, that I'm going to be able to easily match what anyone could do with a filter in terms of making sure that the highlights aren't blown and making sure that the shadow detail is there. So yeah, I'll be shooting at f8 today, and I will give you an update on what the shutter speeds are when we get to a little bit closer to the light. But hopefully you can see this. I'm just going to move out the way for this scene, just so you can see the colour of the sky. At the moment the camera's trying to focus on me, and as soon as I get out of the way, you're hopefully going to see what the sky looks like. Okay, so the light's still here, so I'm pretty confident now that we're actually going to get some decent light, and I've already got some really nice shots already. This colour that we've got in the sky is really beautiful. What I have done is I've just changed my composition a little bit, so I've framed up the shot now at about 40mm, so a little bit further zoomed in. And what I've done and I'll show you the image on screen now, is we're leading the image from the bottom left hand corner, that row of trees that you can see that kind of zigzag through the scene. We're coming in from the bottom left hand side of the image, and then the lovely colour that we've got in the sky, there's a lot of nice texture to that sky, and what it's doing is it's actually leading back into the frame from the top left hand side of the image as well. So it's a really nice balance from the rolling hills that we've got that are going through the scene on the kind of more of the right hand side of the image, and then the trees that lead us through that scene, and then the lovely texture in that sky is giving us that balance on the other side of the screen. So still shooting at f8, but we're now zoomed into 40mm. So a little update. Things have taken a turn for the worst. Wouldn't you know it? It's landscape photography all over. The colour that we had in the sky is starting to drain away, and I suspect the reason for that is that there's a bank of cloud somewhere that is just blocking that light coming from the sun on hitting those clouds that are in the sky. So this can happen sometimes. It happens probably more than people would realise. Loads of landscape photographers go out and they do shoots, and then no one ever either knows about it or ever sees the vlogs, in my case, because it just ends up not worth showing. But it's part of the game. It's part of being a landscape photographer, and you know, if you don't do it, if you don't come to these locations, then you're certainly not going to get the shots. So it's gone from probably looking like it was going to be 80% decent sunrise right down to probably about 20%. These things happen, right? But I've got the drone, so let's make it worthwhile. Let's flow the drone around and have a bit of fun. So we're definitely not getting any more light, guys. It's now about 7:10, and unfortunately it didn't materialise in the way that it looked like it was going to. There definitely would have been a bank of cloud that just stopped it happening last minute. However, we did get that really nice light at the start, and I think that we've got some nice images there. So if you haven't already seen them, I'll show you them now. And what I'll also do now is show you the time lapse that the GoPro has got, and it will show you where from darkness to twilight, and it started to look really promising, and then it just fizzled out. But that's landscape photography. That happens sometimes, and as I said earlier, you've got to be in it to win it, right? We definitely wouldn't have got the nice photos with that very early pinks and hues in the sky if we weren't here. So you just got to get up, hope for the best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that time lapse now. Say thank you again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Nice to do a vlog from somewhere that's a little bit more local to where I live. If you haven't already checked out the location guide to East Sussex that's on my website, then make sure you do that. Hopefully this gives you a bit more flavour about this location and how easy and how quick it is to get from the car park to here. You would have seen on the drone footage that I would have shown that where those vans were in the background is where the car park is. So it literally is just a 5-minute stroll across here. And yeah, if you've enjoyed it, as I always say, please give the video a like. It does help. The algorithms really do reward people that get good feedback from people, and I am really trying to make sure that this channel can go forward, and the only way that that's going to happen is if you guys show some love on the video. So give it a like, give it a comment if you wish. if you've been to this location and you've got any other ideas about kind of where we can shoot from, then let me know. Always really open and looking forward to finding new places to shoot. And yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, then please do so. It would be great to have you with us on the channel. Anyway, see you again. See you on the next one.